You know, there are a number of Canadian teams that actually do have a pretty bright future ahead of them. Now, we don't know where that's going to lead for sure, but one of them for me, the top on that list, is the Habs. I think that their core's really good. They got picks. They're on the right track. You got Lane Hudson, Caulfield, Laine. I mean, I think Suzuki is a solidified star number one center, in my opinion. Like, I really think that the Habs have been going the right track. It was fantastic to see them make the playoffs this year for growth. Did I think they were going to beat the Washington Capitals? Of course not. The Washington Capitals are a fantastic veteran playoff team. Listen, it's good to be a good young team. Learning how to play in the playoffs is a different animal. And as you guys watch hockey more and more, you're going to see young teams that are good, and it takes them sometimes 1, 2, 3, maybe even up to 8 to 10 years to learn how to play playoff style hockey. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into the Habs season in general, but I do want to talk about the future of the Habs organization, especially this year, because let's not forget the Montreal Canadiens have the 16th and the 17th overall selection in the 2025 NHL entry draft, and we have some buzz because Craig Button did go ahead and drop his mock draft. And he is saying that there is a certain forward that is probably going to be going to the Habs and probably going to be available around one of their 16th or 17th overall picks. And honestly, it does make a lot of sense. This player is no other than Justin Carbonneau. Now, he plays in the QMJHL. Now, when we talk about junior, the QMJHL a lot of the time is criticized for having higher scoring players in it. And what I mean by that is that it's generally easier for junior players to get points. That's generally the relatively valid criticism. There is some truth to that. And some junior leagues are like a little bit harder to score. And the OHL, for example, tends to be like a little bit harder to score in. But this makes a ton of sense. He's got size, he's got skill. He actually has about 89 points this year in his draft year. He's been excellent for his junior team, and he's slated to go right around the middle of the draft. To me, this actually makes a lot of sense, and this is a very logical pick for the Montreal Canadiens to go ahead and do. I mean, they do hold 2 picks, right? Now, you could make the argument when it comes to this that perhaps it makes sense for them to trade the picks. Maybe you want them to go really, really aggressive. There might actually be an argument there, right? There might actually be an argument to say, hey, just go for it, man. Just go for it. You have a good young core ready. If you have a trade that is available, why not? I actually wouldn't be against this at all. Furthermore, I'm actually a fan of the Ottawa Senators doing this as well. I don't want to talk about the Ottawa Senators in this video, but there's certain teams that already have good young cores that I wouldn't be against them just being aggressive and going for it. They have a lot of good players. So if they could get a player down the middle, on the wing, on the blue line, or what have you, and trade those picks, I would be completely fine with the Montreal Canadiens going ahead and doing that. I personally think when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, it would be a giant disappointment if they do not make the Stanley Cup playoffs next year. I think they absolutely have to. Like, it is a must. There's no doubt about it. I don't want them to take a step back. So that's why I am where I am with this. I just don't want the Habs to take a step back. Now, when it comes to the draft, one other name that I want you to keep an eye on is Jack Nesbitt. Doesn't have the highest point per game, but he is a player that is a big center that could probably play center in the National Hockey League. I do wonder if it's possible if the Habs take a look at him. I don't like his ceiling as much, but he'll probably be available around middle first round. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens there. But alas, I honestly think that the Habs should be open to anything. If you have a trade that makes sense, go ahead with it. Now I want to move on and talk about Lane Hudson and the possibility of his contract and looking at what he'll probably get paid. Now, I've seen a lot of Habs fans that have talked about this contract as if he's getting 8 times 8. I think he's getting a lot more than that. Lane Hutson did touch on this, saying that, hey, literally, I'm looking forward and I literally do want to get this done. I'm really excited. He seems to be motivated to stay around, remain a Montreal Canadian, and he seems like he really, really likes the core, really, really likes the city and the fans as well. So that's really, really good. So he's obviously motivated to stay here. I honestly think that this is going to be more than $8 million, though. If you look at the percentage of the cap that guys like Hughes and things like that took up, I think he's getting $9.5 to $10 million. I think that if you can give him that, he will sign an 8-year deal. The reason that I think the Habs should do this is because at the end of the day, the cap is going up. It's going to be like $113 million. If you can sign him to that, Lane Hutson is a heck of a young defenseman. He has his own blemishes. I personally do believe that he is a bit of a liability sometimes in his own zone, battling on the wall and things like that. But at the end of the day, he is a valuable player that probably is going to be playing in a top pairing role for the rest of his career. Like, I think he's really quite good. I just think it's a little bit delusional to think that a guy that is going to be taking $8 million, because I've been watching a lot of different YouTube channels and keeping an eye on Habs fans, and they're talking as if he's going to take a huge bargain. I don't think that's actually true. Maybe you can disagree with me. Question of this video, I want to know, what do you guys think that the Habs are actually going to have to pay Lane Hutson? If they're going to want to pay him for 8 years, they are going to have to legitimately pay him big. Like, it's going to have to be a big payday, because you're probably going to be taking up some UFA years there as well, right? When you buy up UFA years, it's going to cost your franchise more. It just is what it is. I would prefer if the Habs locked him up 8 years, personally, in my opinion. I really want them to actually lock this player up. He's a Hab for life. You don't have to worry about, well, Hab for at least a long time. You don't have to worry about it, but what do you guys think? Anyways, I am going to end the video here. If you guys can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.